Hi, my name's Veronica and today we're talking about books I've read in 2024. As a little disclaimer in the beginning, I mostly read my books on a Kindle nowadays, and if I ever have a paperback, I mostly borrow it to friends and family, so I don't have all the books with me today, but if I don't have it, I'll just insert the picture so you kind of get a feeling of how the cover looks like. In 2024 so far, I only went through a couple of reading slumps. I've been pretty consistent with reading for most weeks, so I managed to finish 15 books so far. It's currently the end of June. Starting with book number 1 I've read this year, which is The Idea of You. The book follows a 40-year-old gallery owner in Los Angeles named Solen, who is starting a love affair with a 20-year-old something boy band member called Hayes. Spoilers out, didn't like the book, didn't like the style of writing. I didn't really enjoy reading it at all. However, the film was recently released and I think the film was absolutely fantastic. So skip the book and enjoy watching Anne Hathaway and Nick Galitzine on screen. Next up, we have Little Flies Everywhere. I truly love the book and its beautiful writing style. The main message of the book is probably the complexity of motherhood and the weight in our choices. So definitely worth a read. Next up, we have my first non-fiction book of the year, which is Bad Data. It's completely focused on the UK and it's written by a professional who deals with data on a daily basis. The book highlights the flaws and unknowns in decision making based on wrongly collected or non-existing data. If you're interested in statistics or if you want to broaden your horizon, I think that's a fantastic read. I learned quite a lot. Book number 4 is actually a book I have here with me. It's Quit Like a Woman, the radical choice not to drink in a culture obsessed with alcohol. I read this during the month of dry January. It was an interesting read, but probably not what I have expected from it. It definitely took me time to finish it. It was alright in the end. On to book number 5, The Housemaid, a book I've recently seen all over Book Talk, and let's just say it did not disappoint. The book centers around Millie, who just recently got released from prison and she secured a job as a maid at a wealthy family. Hired by the wife of the family, Millie moves into the mansion but soon finds out that something in this family is off. I really loved reading this book. I think it had a great page turner, so definitely recommend. Book number 6 is The Housemaid's Secret. It can be read as a standalone book, but it also kind of follows after my last read. So once again, the book follows Millie, who has an acclaimed reputation for what she's doing. And once again, she's starting a new job, this time in New York City, as a maid for, again, a very wealthy couple. I didn't really find myself as interested in the book as I was at the first time, just because I think the plot was very similar. It still came with a few surprises and was a good read. Another Book Talk inspired read for me, Twisted Love. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen the series already. That has probably been my worst rated book this year so far. I absolutely disliked everything. I disliked the writing style, I disliked the character, the storytelling, everything. It's a pass for me. Next up, we have Stolen Focus. We think of our inability to focus is a personal failure to exert enough willpower over devices. The book goes into different studies as well as the author's experience to regain focus. And I am personally a victim of my own screen time. I think it's been on my monthly goal for probably the last 5 years to decrease my screen time significantly, although I keep failing every single month. So I found this book really insightful. I did take a couple of tips I'm trying to integrate in my daily life now, and it really inspired me to kind of want to go to a cabin or a beach house for a week and completely isolate without having any connection to the internet. My next book is the Lido. It follows 26-year-old Kate, who recently moved to London and struggles to find a community, even though she works for journalists at a local newspaper, and 86-year-old Rosemary, who is retired already and likes to spend her free time at the local Lido. When a big development company attempts to buy the Lido and wants to transform it into luxury apartments, the two women see themselves crossing paths, and it's a refreshing summary. Probably not my favorite book of this year, but definitely worth a go. Another very much hyped up book is Yellowface. The story follows June, who steals the manuscript from her former very successful classmate Athena, who dies in an accident, and June claims the manuscript to be hers. She then releases her first book, which turns out to be a huge success. Many describe the book as a satire of racial diversity, as well as criticism to the book publishing industry. I enjoyed reading the book and reading comments online. Book 11, Cleopatra and Frankenstein, follows Cleo and Frank, two people living in New York and falling in love with each other. The book explores modern love and also the conflict between age and youth, since Cleo and Frank have a 20-year age gap. It was a good read, but probably not my highlight this year. Next up, we have The Tattoist of Auschwitz. I've seen it a lot online in recent years, but it really never claimed my attention. However, a friend of mine recently borrowed me the book, so I give it a go. The book follows Layli and Gitter, who are both forcefully transported into the concentration camp of Auschwitz. It is a very sad book about the endurance of love and humanity. However, I didn't really enjoy the pace of this book, even though it covers their story for roughly 2.5 years. I found it too fast for my personal liking, and I really struggled with building any type of emotion with the two characters in the book. So maybe it's for you, it wasn't personally for me. Next up, we have The 9 Elms Killer, my first paperback of the year. The thriller follows Kate Marshall, who is a former police officer who stopped the 9 Elms killer for killing innocent women. However, 15 years later, a copycat killer follows his idol and continues killing innocent women, and is aiming to finalize the job that the 9 Elms killer never got around. I think it was an interesting read. Thrillers aren't my personal favorite genre, but it's fine to spice it up every now and then, so it was fun to read. Next up, we have Stoner, which is my first classic read of this year. The story follows William Stoner in the early 20th century. It's a beautiful written book with just the right amount of sadness, but it's also bittersweet. So I do definitely recommend this. Last but not least, and we kind of have a yellow theme there, is Butter, a book I just finished yesterday. It's a Japanese novel inspired by a real-life murder case, the Konkatsu murder. And while the book doesn't mainly focus on the crime story, since the murderer is already convicted and in prison, it kind of explores food, gender, and societal pressure in Japan. I really think it's worth the read. I tried to diversify my authors this year, so I think this was a good step towards my goal. These were all the books I've read so far in 2024. Maybe there's one that you want to give a try. I think I've recently gotten back into the paperbacks, so got a few on my nightstand already. If you have any nice book recommendations for me, please leave a comment down below so we can share our favorite reads or the books that are worth reading, and see you soon. I've read so far in 2022. It's 2024. Why do I film on the hottest day so far?